Good afternoon, everyone. How are we doing? Happy Sunday. Hope you're having an amazing day so far. Thank you so much for clicking on the video. If you enjoy these videos, if you watch my watch list, just know I appreciate you very, very much. If you enjoy the content, if it helped you in any way whatsoever or anything like that, please consider dropping a like, dropping a comment, subscribing to the channel. It would mean the absolute world to me. But without further ado, let's hop right into the watch list. So this is going to be everything I'm looking out for this week in the stock market, specifically SPY, QQQ, ES, NQ, and SPX. All right. So let's hop into it. This past week, if we go to the daily look has a little. The daily has a little bit of an interesting look here, right? Almost looks like a bit of like a bear flag. It's just a little more vertical than I would like, but nonetheless, I'm not looking for a bear flag on the daily chart for any sort of bias. I have my levels and zones, and that's what I'm looking for. But it is interesting. We had that sell off. We bounced really quickly, really nicely. Are we going to make a new all-time high here? Obviously, bulls are going to want to see that happen. So we'll see where we go. But as always, we have our previous day high and previous day low. That's the first levels I'm watching. So just looking here on the 15-minute time frame. Let's go back to that. Zoom in a little bit here. This is what I'm going to be looking for, right? Price is already over the previous day high. I'm going to look for that to hold, for us to move higher up to this next previous day high zone and this 2-hour supply zone that lines up. And then, of course, we're back at our all-time high. Have this small pivot here. We're already kind of breaking over that. So come tomorrow morning, I'll most likely be taking that off the chart. Under the previous day high, I'll be looking at shorts down to the previous day low. Of course, pre-market high and pre-market low will dictate that as well. But we have a demand zone at the previous day low as well, this 45-minute demand zone. So if we head over to the 45-minute, we can see that right here, right? So we have a small green candle followed by a large aggressive one. I'm not worried about these wicks. He's just Thinkorswim always has these, misprints or whatever. But this is definitely a strong looking demand zone, and it's at the previous day low, which I love to see. Recently I've been having supply and demand marked, but I'm noticing the zones, the supply and demand zones, have a much higher probability when they line up with a previous day high, previous day low, pre-market high, pre-market low, rather than something like this. Like we have this demand zone down here on the 30-minute and 1 hour, but it's under the previous day low where I'm looking at shorts. Now there's a decent amount of space from 633 down to 631 here, 630, but I have just found these to be lower probability, especially with another previous day low underneath. So I'd much prefer to look at longs down here at this 629 demand rather than this one here. And then same thing with supply. However, this is a little bit of a different example because we do have this 2-hour supply zone here above the previous day high, but it also has another previous day high in the zone as well. So a really nice looking 2-hour supply zone here up to 639.75. But it's also a previous day high as well. So I really like that zone a lot more for a reject up here at 640 over the previous day high. Okay. So let's go over to ES. ES, supply and demand. That's what I mark on futures. Occasionally I'll mark the previous day high, previous day low, usually intraday if I feel like it's going to help with my plan for the day. But really simple look here on ES. We have this 1-hour supply, which we're trading into right now. We have this 4-hour demand just below at 63.76 all the way up to 63.90. So this 4-hour demand here is going to be my first reaction for a bounce. First reaction for a rejection is going to be here, this 1-hour supply that we're in right now. If we get above the supply, I have another 2-hour supply zone just above that as well. Under this demand zone, this 4-hour, I have another one down here, the same one on SPY, the 1-hour and 30-minute demand zone. And then under that, we have that really nice looking 3-hour demand, which we bounced out of last week. That was a really nice play. Perfect, great looking 3-hour demand here. Price moved aggressively into that zone, and we had a really nice reaction out of it. I mean, there is just proof right there of supply and demand and how well it can work. Okay, it can. Doesn't always, and I've definitely taken losing trades on supply and demand. So anyways, QQQ now. We are over the previous day high already post-market, but I'll watch for the previous day high to hold for longs. We have this 4-hour supply zone that we're trading into right now. I wouldn't be surprised if when the futures open up tonight, we're kind of gapping over that zone, but we have this really nice looking 4-hour supply zone again that we are trading into right now. But most likely we'll be breaking over that anyways, and then we're back at the all-time high. So I'll look for that level to hold as well for longs. Under the previous day high, we have this demand zone down here, this 4-hour demand. looks really, really nice. So I'll be watching a reaction at the wick and the open of that at 571.33 and 570.88 to hold. Below that, we have a 3-hour demand that we already bounced out of as well, from 567 down to 566.97. All right. We'll go over to NQ, and then we'll take a look at SPX. Looking at NQ, very similar look, of course. We have our 4-hour demand zone here. There's a 45-minute demand zone in this zone as well. And we're currently trading into this really nice looking 4-hour supply here at 23,752, which we've already broken that level. So we'll see how we react to the body of this candle at 23,795. But again, we are approaching all-time highs. So shorts are just going to be a little bit riskier here. All right. But lastly, we'll check out SPX. And for those that are new to the video, new to the channel, SPX, I simply just mark out any whole cycle numbers and previous day high, previous day low. So previous day high, previous day low. I'd like for price to get over 6,400. That's definitely going to be a key level to continue up to the all-time high. If we fail 6,400, get back below the previous day high, I'll be looking at shorts down the previous day low. And underneath the previous day low, we do have a gap here. But under that 63.41 gap, I'll look for price to move back down to this previous day low and 6,300. So I will go ahead and mark that gap. I just want to see it's not on the daily, but it is here. So I will mark that as well. So that's all I'll be watching this week. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you're a real one and been watching since I started these watch lists almost 2 years ago, I started these watch lists September 2023. And if you've been able to just like learn and grow with me on this journey and how far I've come as a trader, I'm obviously nowhere near like any sort of great success from a P&L wise on my trading career, but that is more than fine for me. At this time, I have made major strides in my system, my ability to read price action, my execution on my trades, and so on. You know, if you look at my all-time trade zealous, that's actually not all-time. It only goes back until January 2024. My win rate is like 49%. But of course, I'm red all time because my average win is smaller than my average loss. And my average loss is very small. My average loss in that entire time, and that again, that only goes back to January 2024. I've been trading full time since January 2023, is like $108. And then my average win is like 79. So not super far off, but man, I would love to. My biggest thing right now in trading from a weekly perspective, daily perspective, to a monthly perspective, and of course a yearly, is getting that profit factor to 2 to 1, getting my wins 2 times bigger than my losses, get my average win 2 to 3 times my average loss, because I won't even need a 50% win rate for something like that. But nonetheless, just wanted to share that little tidbit, but I'm very excited to see where things are headed. So anyways, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Again, if you did enjoy it, please consider dropping a like, subscribe, and commenting if you love the stock market and trading just as much as I do. And I will see you all in the next watch list. Peace.